On the internet, when we want to access a website, we use what's called a domain name. For example, wikipedia.org or youtube.com. In short, it's the web address you type into your browser. In reality, your browser needs the IP address of the server where your website is hosted. An IP address is an identification number assigned to each device connected to a network using the Internet Protocol. For this video, it means every computer connected to the Internet has an IP address. But, as you've probably guessed, it would be quite a challenge to remember all these IP addresses, and that's where the DNS, or Domain Name System, comes into play. It's going to translate these domain names into IP addresses. Now, let's dive a bit deeper into how this all works. Let me explain the notion of DNS hierarchy with the example of wikipedia.org. The domain name system is actually a hierarchy, with the top known as the root. This is represented by a dot. For reference, this dot doesn't appear in the website addresses we use on the internet, but it is the highest level. Domains directly under the root are called top-level domains, such as .com, .org, and so on. In a domain name, successive domains are separated by dots, with higher-level domains on the right. Multiple subdomains in delegation are possible, which means that the information for a subdomain can be stored on another server. For instance, the French version of Wikipedia fr.wikipedia.org is the subdomain of wikipedia.org, and it could be a subdomain hosted on a specific server, while d.wikipedia.com, the German one, might be on a different server. Resolving domain names involves traversing the hierarchy from the top and following successive delegations. Now let's see how a browser resolves a domain name. Imagine you enter wikipedia.org in your browser. Your browser needs to resolve it into an IP address. It contacts a DNS resolver server. Internet service providers provide their customers with default DNS resolver servers when they connect to the internet. However, there are also other DNS resolver servers like OpenDNS or Cloudflare. When a DNS resolver needs to find the IP address of wikipedia.org, an iterative process begins to consult the DNS hierarchy of the domain name. This server asks the root DNS server, which can provide information for the .org part. The server will indicate which servers know the information for the wikipedia.org zone. Then, the server will provide the information to get the IP address of the server hosting wikipedia.org. Once you have the IP address, the browser accesses it and displays the requested page. Thanks a bunch for tuning in. I hope you found it both educational and entertaining. To stay in the loop with all things tech and computer science, be sure to click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. I can't wait to share more insights with you in my next videos. Goodbye.